Hey guys, Junior here with A Mustangs. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be working on my Roush. We actually already put the new BC Forge wheels on it, and then the new side skirts, and then we'll go a little more in detail on them a little later in the video. We're also going to do a couple other installs today. But the main install that we're going to be doing today is we're going to be installing some ATS Brembo calipers. As you can see, I already painted them. I got some G2 caliper paint, and then got some decals from Graphite Graphics. I'm going to tag them down below. And then just clear coat it over them. As you can see, we got the pads and then caliper bolts. And we'll go over the part numbers, all that good stuff here in a second. But first off, so here's the Roush. Roush came with the Cobra calipers, you can say, pretty much. So I just painted these white and then just put the red decal on these, as I did to the Brembos. And these are pretty good calipers, but I mean, Brembos look way better and they're supposed to be better in general. And I just think with the wheels, the Brembo would just look perfect. I hadn't done them before. I've had the calipers for a while. It's just I wasn't sure if the MVXs were gonna clear. I do still have them at home, so I can test fit them just in case any of y'all wonder if they'll actually clear the MVXs, so we can try them. We're even thinking of trying my Uncle Saline wheels just in case. So going down on the wheels, so they are the BC Forge wheels. I went with 18x9s up front and 18x10.5s in the rear. The rear has a 22mm offset. The front has a 5mm offset. So before I was running a spacer, as you'll remember, and we actually cut the fenders to make them flush. And long story short, I was gonna go with the same specs I was running before, but I mean, they're custom wheels, so why not eliminate the spacer? And actually, if for the 1-inch spacer, it would have been a 0mm. But I wanted a little bit of wiggle just in case. I mean, obviously tire sizes aren't all perfect, and I mean, as you can see, I got very little room, so the 5mm gave me a little more clearance just in case. These are 235s, 40, 18s. In the rear, we did 305s, 35s, 18s on they're the 555 R2s, the brand new wheel tires that Nito put out. So as you can see, the Femin's perfect back there, and then the front, they're just the G2s. And then the wheels, they're the LE52s. They're the, what's it called? Crystal Burgundy, I think, is the specific color, the red. Then I did the stainless hardware. So beyond thankful to Wheel Labs. They're the ones who actually made this possible. I've been wanting these wheels ever since I got the Roush. I remember when I was at work, I would always look at them and then I'd be like, man, but they're pricey. So obviously I've gone through a few sets of wheels on this thing, and finally I got the opportunity to get some actual two-piece custom wheels I've always wanted. And honestly, it's all thanks to inspiration of Anthony, AB_Schmock1. I'll tag him down below. He's the one who we talked specs wise, and he's the one who convinced me to get rid of the spacer up front, full send. And couldn't be happier. I mean, look at that fitment. Even with the bag aired out, it's just perfect. So barely clears the front, and obviously we sit in the back with some meats. So I'm really happy. I mean, the Brembos I think are gonna be the last touch exterior wise. I do have a trunk mat. Well, I guess it's not a trunk mat. It's the piece that goes inside the trunk liner, I guess it's called. I don't know if I'm gonna include the install in this video or we're gonna do a separate video on that. So stay tuned for that. And then I do have some other stuff in the trunk. And then really the only thing I have left now for the Roush in particular is I did get the SET tuner. So the handheld's installed now. It's actually in the car. And I got the Soul Performance meth kit. So that's gonna be coming soon in the future video. So we're gonna do the install on that meth kit first. And then obviously, VMPs, you can see I'm wearing the shirt right now, they're the ones who are gonna tune it. So that's why I got the SET, we're gonna do the meth injection first, that way I can see how it reacts to it. The reason why I'm doing the meth injection is because it's a little safer, and obviously maybe a little more power, but we'll see. Just because I think the 2-valve is getting to its point where it's gonna be maxed out and I don't wanna blow it, so I think the meth injection will be a little bit safer, power-wise. So we'll do a video on data logging, all that good stuff, so that's in the future. And then, I don't know, Alex just walked in. I don't know if he wants to hint, we got some stuff coming for the Saline apart from the new engine and stuff. So that's the next video, and then we're gonna also be working on that 67 back there. So I think that video should be up before this video. We'll see where the schedule goes up, because I might release this one first just because Brembos, everybody asks on the ATSV. I know there's a few videos here and there, but they're not specific. One thing we did decide to go with, Alex had the idea of, is getting the actual caliper mounting bolts off of the ATSV, or ATS I guess you can say, with the Brembo package. And I got these at AutoZone. So the part number for these is 14947, and they're supposed to just blow right up, so that we don't have to get some weird big bolts or anything like that. And these are caliper bolts, so there's specs or for calipers, all good stuff. And then brake pads wise, we went with the Power Stop Evolution. And the part number on these is Z23-1001. I actually got these off Amazon for like 50 bucks or something like that. And then the calipers themselves, I also got off Amazon. I think they were like 300 each or something like that. And then the paint. The pair? Was it the pair? Well, it was a pair. So that's why, obviously, that's why we go with the ATS Brembos. Because if you go with like the Cobra setup, if you can find it, or even the GT500, or I think is what it's called, it's a whole lot more money. So I mean, I think with all in all, with the decals, the clear pads, bolts, I think I'm in it like 400 bucks tops. I'm pretty sure. So follow along. He's setting up the GoPro. So I'm gonna jack up the car, do time lapses here and there, and then we'll stop and see what we're doing descriptive wise. Because I know we're gonna have to, on the actual tabs, we're gonna, on the, what's it called, the spindle, we're gonna have to make the holes bigger and maybe even closer together, I guess you can say. And then we are gonna have to file off some brake pad material off the top, just because they're a little taller than the rotor itself. And obviously, if we don't do that, then the calipers are gonna, the pads are gonna wear on that one spot and not the top, and it's just a hassle. And then we're also gonna have to machine or grind off some of them on the mounting right here. Just because if you just put them on like that, the rotors are gonna be center, and we'll probably go over that in a second. So stay tuned for that, and then we're gonna get started.
Alright guys, so we got the car jacked up. Make sure you put it in jack stand so it's secure, it doesn't fall on you. Take the tires and wheels off. And we're going to take the brake caliper and bracket off all in one piece. So 15 millimeter. Should take the bolts off here on the back. I already cracked them loose, so they're not too tight. They weren't too tight on this car, but if you haven't done your brakes for a long time, you might have get a little like cheater bar to do that. I also have this, they sell these are to hang your brake calipers. That way you're not stretching that hose. So once we take it off, I'm going to hang it in here and just hang it somewhere here from the suspension, just while we do all the work. We're not going to remove the hose right away until we're ready to put the other caliper on. That way we don't drain a bunch of fluid and empty out the line, you know. So we'll wait on that. So yeah, just get these two bolts off. Should be pretty straightforward. Here's one. And here's the other one. Once those are off, you could slide the caliper off. Now, if your works are a little bit worn out, or you know, you might have to kind of pry it off a little bit. So and you can use a screwdriver or a little pry bar, but they should just kind of slide right off. Alright, with that said, your rotor is going to come off, because we're going to have to get access to this holes here to mount the new caliper. So if your rotor is on there really tight because of the rust and everything, which, you know, if you haven't taken them out for a while or whatever, or you live in states that you get a lot of water, you might just have to smack them really good with the hammer. So just kind of hit them in this place here, not obviously where the brakes go. You know, just do it a couple times and then see if you can get it loose. But this one slides right up, so not a problem. While you're here, you might as well check your rotors, make sure they're not all worn out. They don't have that lip at the end. If you do, you probably want to get them resurfaced or get new ones, depends what you're doing. Alright, cool. So other than that, we're going to start just kind of setting the caliper there, make some measurements, and go from there. Okay, so what I did is I made this template from the box just where the holes are, so I know how far spaced out, just to kind of see where I need to drill over there. Rather than holding the caliper and trying to mark with the pen, since they're nice and painted, we don't want to get them all scratched. So with this template, I know that I can, or you know, I can figure out here and see how far we need to drill out. So, you know, as you can see, I don't know if you can get close in here. It's only about 1/8, maybe less of an inch.
You can't even see, it's too dark.
And get a flashlight, you can get in there a little bit. Flashlight's over there. Okay, so you can see if I hold this up, you know, the hole, it's about maybe 1/8 of an inch off for the Brembo caliper. So we'll drill this one bigger. This one's gonna have to be drilled bigger as well, but a little bit inwards. I think with the drilling it bigger, it's almost gonna be right at the right spot, so then we can just file a little bit on one side to make it fit. So we'll see how that goes. But I just thought it would be easier to do this than to hold the whole caliper here. So we're gonna start drilling. Hopefully our drill bit works good in here. And then I'm not sure if we have a file. We might have to get a file. That way we can file a little bit. Or use the Dremel, we'll see. And then we'll show you guys what we did after we drilled those holes out, okay? Alright guys, so I think we got this side pretty much all in there. It's not all the way bolted on, but it's held on by the bolts currently. So what we found easier was to use this Dremel I have with different attachments to sand the holes down. With the 1/2 inch, we didn't have a 9/16 drill bit, so we tried a 1/2 inch and it wasn't really going. It was just getting caught on the sides. The step drill bit obviously only drills about 1/8 of an inch in, and then you go bigger, so you don't want to drill so much big. So we used the Dremel, and I mean it takes a little bit more time, but it does grind it little by little. So we got the holes bigger. Put this here so you can see. And then after we did them, where these actually go through there, put this down here real quick. So we got them big enough where this goes right through there, no problem. We're just sanding a little bit towards the inside on both of them, just because I showed you guys before, the caliper has the bolt holes a little bit closer. So we got it in. I might just sand slightly more, just so that way when you're trying to put the caliper in, it's not like so tight in there, but it's pretty much done. These bolts are gonna be a little bit too long, so we're gonna cut about 1/4 inch off of them, so that way they don't hit the rotor, because if we tie them in all the way there, more than likely, let's see. Actually, they wouldn't even hit the rotor, but we'll probably just cut them a little bit, just that way they don't stick out past the caliper. Just to make sure, but they don't hit, even if we left them. Other than that, we do have to do the other side. So we're gonna sand the other side, and then probably Junior's gonna be doing the other side while I keep working on this caliper, because once you have it bolted on, the rotor is not centered in here. And I'll show you guys here in a little bit once we got it bolted in there. But you have to pretty much move the caliper inwards, I believe, like maybe 1/8 of an inch or so. So you have to sand these down a little bit, that way it goes in. You don't want to sand these down a whole 1/8 of an inch, because remember, when you go in, you're gonna move the whole thing in, so you probably only need like a 1/16 of an inch in here. That way it just centers it on the rotor. So once I get this bolted on there, we'll show you guys where it's not centered, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so we have this caliper mounted in there, as you can see. It's taking a little bit long just because our Dremel bits are not the best. We didn't find any good ones, but it's just slow moving. We're trying to get one of those, what do we call it?
Reamer.
A reamer for the air Dremel, but we couldn't find one anywhere in stock here close by, so if you're gonna do this, think ahead, maybe get some of those ahead of time, you know, buy the Dremel tools. Anyways, like I just wore out one of those little Dremel tools with this. But it is going. If you find a 9/16 drill bit, I'm sure you can just do it that way. We just didn't find one, and you still have to sand it kind of to one side, one of them. So you're still gonna end up using a Dremel, or some people said one of these files works, but grinding metal with one of these, it's gonna take longer, from what I found out. Maybe this isn't the right brand, I don't know. Anywho, once you get it in there, so this is all mounted, the bolts are tight. So I tighten them all the way down, and they don't hit the rotor. I'm still gonna cut the bolts down just because I don't like them being sticking out, but just so you guys know, it doesn't touch the rotor because they end up kind of on the inside of where the rotor is, so they don't touch anything. So those factory bolts technically will work without anything done to them, you know, and they have the nice, like, kind of like a lock washer on them, so that's what I like about them. Anyways, if you want to come close here, Junior, this is the only thing I was telling you guys about, and it's going to be kind of hard to see, but you can tell here it has about 1/8 of an inch from the edge of the caliper to the rotor, maybe a little bit more. I haven't measured it. Here on the inside, and like I said, I don't know if you can get the camera on the inside, but yeah, let's see. Kinda, you can kind of see it. So on the inside it has maybe a 1/16 of an inch clearance. So that's the only thing I have to do now, is I'm gonna take the caliper off and, you know, grind just a little bit on the flange, maybe a 1/16 of an inch, a little bit less, just to even it out. Technically, really speaking, the brake pad fits on it, so I can put the brake pad here on the back side, and there's still actually plenty of room in there, and you can put it here on the front. So if you do that, I mean, you can technically leave it like that, I guess. The piston will probably just come out more on this side than the other, but we're just gonna grind a little bit off, make sure it's a little bit more even, and yeah, call it a day. But as it is right now, we could probably put these pads on there and connect the hose, and that'll be good, but we're gonna grind that just to make sure it's even on both sides. We don't want something to happen later on, so cool. So we're gonna take it off, grind that a little bit, and then we'll be ready to put that hose back in there. Alright guys, we got the caliper in there after some sanding on the back, so pretty straightforward. Just make sure that you sand it straight, because when you sand it, if you sand it a little bit, you know, more on the outside than the inside, then it's gonna make the caliper, you know, accordingly be crooked a little bit. So just keep that in mind. If you do put it in there and you see the calipers kind of tilted one way or the other, go back and sand the other way a little bit, but this one's good as it is, so pretty much got it centered. And then we just removed the banjo bolt off the old caliper really quick and put in this one, where we're using the bolt and the crush washers. Hopefully it doesn't leak, but if anything, we can buy some new crush washers. I don't see no fluid dripping, so I'm just gonna finish. I did cut the other bolt about 1/4 inch, a little bit more. I'm gonna cut this one a little bit. It does not hit anything again, but I'm just gonna cut it and put the pads. I believe you have to cut the pads a little bit, so we'll see what we have to do there, and then we'll bleed the caliper. So it's almost done here on this side. The other side, Junior's grinding it, so we'll show you guys what we have to cut on the pad. The caliper, it was just, you know, maybe like 1/8 of an inch, a little bit less that you have to shave off of it, so it's not that bad. And like I said, they do recommend putting these stainless steel lines. This one already had them. I don't think you really have to, but it's better if you're having this big old calipers. I really don't know what the difference is. We should have probably done a before and after brake test, but we didn't. So if this works out pretty good, we'll see. Maybe we'll do it on this other car, and then we'll do a before and after test of the stopping distance, just to see if it's really worth, you know, your time and your money, or if it just, you know, looks cool. Other than that, we're almost done, so follow on, guys. Okay, so we got this other side done here, guys. I just thought I showed you the brake pads. So this is pretty much what you have to do. You just cut about 1/8 of an inch off the top all the way across because that much sticks out farther than the rotor. So you know, just mark your line. I use my grinder with a metal cutting disc and just, you know, went like this and then just cut a little bit on the bottom. So that's pretty much all you do, just so that way it doesn't stick out past the rotor. So we already put this in there. Same thing with the brake line, we already got it in there, so it's good to go. And then I cut the bolts, same thing, just about 1/4 inch, 3/8 of an inch off the end and put them on there. So everything's good to go. We're just gonna put this in there. We'll have to bleed the brakes, so you absolutely have to bleed the brakes since you're changing calipers. Looks like these came with fluid already in them, because as soon as we took the, when I pulled the bleeder bolt off, fluid started coming out. So if it was empty, by the time the fluid comes in and fills, it would be a while. So that'll help it bleed faster since it has fluid, but don't forget there's one on the outside, one on the inside. Make sure you do both, just to make sure you get any air out of there. So other than that, we're pretty much almost done here.
Alright guys, so the install is finally done. Got Alex in the background. Huge thanks to him for helping me install them. Pretty much did the whole thing, I just grinded stuff. So here they are. Obviously I got the wheels spec'd out to the calipers. I got what, about like 1/4 inch clearance. Quite honestly, I don't think the MVXs would have cleared just because of the concave. They might have, but I don't think so. I can throw them on there just to double check if you guys want to know for sure. But here they are. We're going to go break in the pads here in a second.
This is the amount that I took off the bolts. So like you can see, I don't know, 1/4 inch, 3/8 of an inch. With the grinder, I just tapered the end that I cut off and they went right in. Remember to bleed the caliper, so we just finished doing that. We bled them both sides, make sure we have enough fluid. So, and then when you first drive it, just make sure, you know, you don't just take off to the freeway or whatever. Make sure it's stopping, go around your block or anything, just to make sure. That's what we're gonna do now, go around the block, make sure everything is good to go. But overall, the hardest part I'm saying is all the grinding that you have to do, you know, making the holes bigger. It just takes time. If you get a Dremel like we did, actually it just takes time, but it's not bad. Maybe next time we'll try to get that bigger drill bit and see, but I think we'll just, you know, we're trying to just find one of those reamer bits and do that. Other than that, grinding the backside of the caliper, it's a little bit time consuming, but not too bad either. Just take your time as well. Other than that, everything's just straightforward. So as you can see, rotor, everything flits really nice. I don't know, I think that's it, guys. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, please go to the comments, any suggestions, anything that you guys have questions on, let us know. And you know, if we can do it, you guys can take care of it as well yourselves. Thank you, guys.
Alright guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and end the channel right here. Like I said, next video on the Roush is probably gonna be like the new trunk setup that we're doing, and then the meth injection, and then VMP Performance gonna tune in, so we're probably gonna do the data logging on it. And then of course we got the Saline, the 67, and the Fox body should be coming soon. We're gonna do the brakes, and then eventually boost, gears, stuff like that. So as always, thanks for watching. Stay tuned, and like Malco said, any suggestions you got, questions on either car, like the Roush, the Saline, any installs or questions on how we did it, we could always go back and do it like we did the seats earlier. We also plan on doing the airlift setup on this. Probably when we do the trunk video that we're gonna do in the trunk setup, we'll kind of talk about how we ran it. Because as many of you people know, people do the wood flooring and you can't access the spare tire anymore. So the way I have it set up is you still have trunk space and you can access the spare tire. So we'll show a little bit on that.